Welcome to Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast with my man Stevie Wonder. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my co-host. T.O. is in the building. It's your other Hatch. We got a special reunion episode for you today. Virtual Zoom coming up in this piece. Your people, right? Your old Garnett and Gold teammates is coming to the stage today, huh?
Oh yeah. I can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to seeing JJ, Jerry. Haven't seen those guys in a while. Have run into JJ. You know, he's into coaching now. He coached my son at Bishop O'Dowd for a year or so, and then I've run into Jerry every now and then. I'm pretty sure we're interrupting his schedule. I'm pretty sure he's probably just coming from the golf course, or he's about to go to the golf course.
One of the two.
I guarantee you.
One or two. Well, I'm looking forward to it so I can finally put the rest and let you guys know you're the second best wide receiver core ever in NFL history. Seems how our 98 Vikings squad is number one. Now, after listening to this whole podcast, I'm sure everybody else will understand that we were the number one wide receiving core of all time. Coming on to the Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast. You can find us on the Himalaya app, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, I'm guaranteeing right now, JR is going to have something to say about that. So everybody,
well, you should.
No further ado, get your popcorn ready, because it's about to go down.
Welcome to Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast, the virtual show today. It's your boy Hat, my host.
What's up? This your man T.O. right here. What's happening? Get your popcorn ready. I keep mine ready.
Yeah, we got some special guests today. We got the legend Hall of Famer Jerry Rice is on the show today. Welcome, Jerry, my man, JR, baby.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, T.O., you got to share that popcorn, man.
Yo, get ready, because it's gonna be shared today. And
all right,
speaking of sharing, and speaking of sharing, we sharing this show also with my guy, JJ Stokes is in the building.
What's up, y'all, man?
Hey,
we're reunited, man. This feels good, man.
So just so JR and Jerry know the reason and the backstory behind this, because I always call our 98 Vikings receiver core the number one receiver core of all time. So I'm letting you guys come on and tell us why you guys think you're number two wide receiving core of all time.
Well, you know what?
You're going to start like that?
Yeah, I know. It's real crazy for you guys to kind of just process. So let me speak while y'all process what he just said, because I know that's a lot to process right now.
Jerry,
look at JR shaking his head. I get it. Hey, so and like you said, this is the backstory. But yeah, we've had this conversation a number of times. We've had guests on, and we've talked about some of the greatest athletes that have played, in our sport today, whether it's basketball, baseball, but in particular, we're talking about football today. So, I've always said, because everybody talks about basketball and referencing the big three. Every team has a big three now. So I've always said, I'm like, man, that's crazy. I'm like, we were sort of like the first big three before there was ever a big three. So when you think about Jerry, JJ, you guys were with the Niners before I came on. And then when I came on, it was like, okay, when we can get T.O., well, I wasn't T.O. then, when we get Terrell to develop and become what we think he can, that's going to be a three-headed monster. So that's how I knew at that point in time, we were really ideally considered the big three before there was ever a big three. So to discount what he just said about him being a big three, I guarantee y'all didn't even know who he was until y'all came on this show today. And then it was like, man, okay, T.O. got a popcorn, got a podcast, and it's like, who is he with? So now that I've said all of that and y'all have had time to digest this ridiculous question of us being really number two behind the Vikings. First of all, he's not even included in the equation.
Go ahead, JJ.
Can I say something before Jerry?
You froze on us, JJ. Start over.
JJ, JJ out there with that bad.
Okay, I'll go.
Connection.
It's not even a competition. What are you talking about, Hatch? Hatch, you know we from Jacksonville. We played together out there, bro. You should have brought this up then. I would have just spelled all that right then, bro.
Hey, JJ, you froze for probably like about 30, 40 seconds, so we didn't hear none of that you said in the
beginning of what you said, JJ.
Oh, I said, Hatch, come on, man. We got the best receivers in the game.
Hey,
they are. Man, just stop right there. Stop right there. What you gonna do?
You know, certain things, guys, I'm not even gonna stoop to this. You know what I'm saying? I know we had the best receiving core. You just look at the numbers. That's all you got to do. Look at the numbers, and that's pretty much, you know, that the debate is over. Okay. I feel insulted a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I should get off this phone. I don't know what is going on, man. I want to use some curse words, but I'm not going to do that. You know, those two guys, J.J. Stokes and Terrell Owens, they're ghosts, man. They're the greatest of all time. Okay. You know what I'm saying? The 49ers, what we were able to accomplish, I can't believe you even went there.
All right, well, JR, let me ask you this then. Since you guys were so good, why didn't you guys never beat us? You guys never beat us. And in 99, when you guys came to the goal,
that's the only thing that you have?
Well, I mean, we also have Hall of Fame rings, and we also have numbers. We also have catches. So I'm just trying to say when we went head to head, because again, our whole week preparing for the 49ers, Randy and Cris would always like, yo, JR is going to be watching, right? T.O. going to be watching, JJ watching. We know that they think they're the best. We got to go out and prove ourselves this week more than any other week. So that was our motivation anytime we played the 49ers, right? And so when we came out, we always played well. You guys didn't play so great against us. That's all I'm saying. That's why I put us number one.
Well, you know, since this is you part of this podcast, I'm gonna let you wear the crown today, okay?
Yeah.
I'll let you wear the crown today. But you know, T.O., we know that deep down inside we had the best receiving core. Because when these two young bucks came in, they pushed me to a whole different level, man, because I knew they wanted to get on that football field. Yeah. And you know, it was competition every day. It was going down in practice.
So when JJ came in 95, he was the 10th pick, right? And again, like the draft we just saw a couple weeks ago, all the media thinks that when the veterans see a high pick like that, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking. You're not panicking. You just know you're going to work harder, right?
Well, that's basically it, because, you know, we made it more of a competition thing. You know, when I first came in, they had Dwight Clark, they had Freddie Solomon. Those guys knew that I was coming in for a reason, but, you know, they were going to really pass that knowledge on to me where I could go on the football field and excel. And I tried to do the same thing with JJ and also Terrell. And, you know, Terrell was Terrell, then he became T.O. Well, when he became T.O., man, he was.
what was the game? What was the game when Terrell became T.O.? Or what was the week?
He took it to a whole different level. Because first of all, you know, Terrell would walk around the locker room. Terrell had like a 6 to 8 pack, and I'm like, damn, I work out hard like hell, and I can't get a 6 pack or an 8 pack. You know what I'm saying? These two guys, you know, 6'4", 6'5", you know, weighing like what? Maybe 215, 225 that could run, that could do everything. I said, damn, you know, I just want to be like those guys. So I was working extra hard just to, you know, try to be better.
Yeah.
So, let me say something real quick, Hatch.
Yeah, because I'm bringing it to you, JJ, because I remember JJ also had the 6-pack because at UCLA, he was the one that wore his jersey up, and he got all the other players across the nation to start wearing their jersey up when JJ did it.
Hey, that's when I was skinny, bro. But hey, let me just say this. When I got there, they had just won the Super Bowl. They had John Taylor and JR and Nate. And, man, just to see practice go was an amazement for me. And when I came in, I thought I was just going to fit right in. Of course, I had to learn to practice the right way because they did everything a certain way. But then the following year, T.O. comes in, same size, faster, bigger, stronger. And it was like, man, this is getting ready to go down. I got hurt. So he comes in and literally, I want to say don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was back when was it the Houston Oilers? And I think that was the first game I missed. You caught it out, come back out, and took it to the zone. I was like, oh, it's going to be a great year. And I'm out for the year. I was like, whoa, it's going to be nice this year. Because I think you got it a few plays, but I think as soon as I got hurt and it was like you were just on and Steve was feeding you and JR the rock, I was like, oh, it's going to be a great year. I'm sitting here. I got my popcorn watching them play.
Oh, hey, I mean, what was JR? What was the competition like between JJ and TO once they were both healthy and coming into camp? Did you see competition between them two?
We came to battle every day. We all did. You know, we felt like you had to earn it. Mm-hmm. That was the most important thing. So, you know, practice was like pretty much a game situation. The tempo, the execution, the attention to detail. And now you just had to transfer that onto the football field that Sunday, that Monday, you know, doing those football games. But it was competition, man, and we all wanted to outdo each other. That made us better in a sense, because, you know, if T.O. made an exceptional catch or something like that, then he went for 6 or something like that. I wanted to do the same thing. Then JJ wanted to do the same thing. So, you know, it was a very competitive receiving corps.
Let me get in here real quick, okay. Hatch. So when we're one-on-ones, this is what I know. When Jerry would kill the DB in one-on-one, he kicked those legs up and that hand come out and he didn't say anything, but it was like, I got you, right? That's how I knew when Jerry got somebody one-on-one and they would get mad on the other side, start chirping. Mm-hmm. I didn't really talk a lot. Jerry would just show up. T.O. would come out and mouth, oh, you think that? I'm about to come do this to watch what I do to him. That's, you know, T.O. going to tell you what he's going to do to you. T.O. come out and do it. And then Jerry get back up and do the same thing. I can't even explain it. Jerry had that one hand that come out like this when he finished the route with the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I was like, Jerry didn't even say nothing, but he's saying a lot by just doing that. Used to tick the DBs off in one-on-one.
Yeah. You know, T.O. did most of the talking, though. You're right about that, JJ. You couldn't set him up.
that was the thing. Like once I got a feel for what I could do, obviously there was a lot that I had to learn coming in just as a rookie. So just to back up a little bit, when, you know, JJ was talking about, you know, obviously when he got hurt and obviously when I came in, I didn't really know how to play the position. I mean, I was playing it, but I hadn't perfected anything. There was a lot of things to my game that I needed to learn, especially like for me, it was bump and run, because I struggled with that early on, but I had to stay after practice every day. Y'all know Larry Kirksey, every day he had me doing something different after every practice in order to kind of catch up with you guys. Because like I said, JJ, you played at UCLA. You know, Jerry, I mean, he has the nickname World. He's all world. So that was really not anything, you know, for him to be taught, but he was still bettering himself every day. So I had to witness this on an everyday basis, especially coming in as a rookie. So there were little things to my game that I had to be brought up to speed. And once I started to learn those things and excel, then that's when I started to become more and more confident. That's when I became a lot more confident in my game. And so, the one-on-ones, the practice, that's when I talk the most. If you think about it, like, a lot of people see the sideline, you know, the highlights, the sound bites. I never really actually talked during the game. I only did that stuff on the sidelines. But during practice, when it was really, the atmosphere was really competitive, everybody was kind of jawing at each other. When JJ talked about one-on-ones, the DBs were going, every day they would come out and they would challenge us. So as JJ said, there were certain things about JR when I knew, like, it was on, like the competition. We didn't really have to say much, but we knew the competition straight out of going into one-on-ones. We knew our mindset had to kind of set the tempo and set the tone for the rest of practice. Like JJ said, there were certain routes that JR ran, and once he caught the ball, it was just that swagger that as soon as he got it or he ran the ball, okay, this is it. This is about to be that day. My favorite. Every route, there's 2 routes that I'll mention that I know JJ ran that I kind of felt like, okay, this dude, he can really run this route. Like, it's really nice. That for me, for JJ, that was the comeback. This dude could accelerate, drop his hip, and get out of that route like no other. Yeah. For Jerry, it was the Colorado. Everybody, he ran the hell out of a slant. Yeah. But when you talk about the Colorado route, people that are watching, a Colorado route is a slant, and you sell him on that slant, drop that weight, and you turn out and go, man, Jay.
What are you talking about? Hey, I ran all those routes good. What are you talking about?
No. I said, that's what I'm saying. I said, for me, you ran every route. I said, for me, that was one of the routes. Like, I was like, man, this dude right here is the real deal Holyfield.
Yeah. Hey, just like doing the dance. It's running that Colorado route or whatever. But hey, T.O., we came from a very small school, and you talking about, JJ, UCLA. JJ probably took a pay cut to come to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? JJ was in Beverly Hills. Hey, man, when you come from a major school like that, the benefits, all of that, I had to wash my uniform, do everything.
Yeah,
and JJ, man, I had to hit you with that, brother. I'm sorry.
And we've spoken on that every single episode as well, because, again, I went to Langston University, a small black college. You was Mississippi Valley, right? T.O. was Chattanooga. And, for JJ be at UCLA, our perception coming from small schools is like this kid or this player has it all. But when you get to the league, you realize, you know what? They are my competition. Like you said, I'm going to go compete with them. They have a little bit ahead of me. They got a head start, but I'm still going to come get them.
I talk to a lot of the kids now, and the thing that I tell them is everybody's like, I need to go here, I need to do that. No. If you got skills and you are exceptional, they're gonna find you. So I just tell them to keep working on what you do more so. And you guys are all examples of that. And so, like I said, if you got the game and the skill behind it, they're gonna come get you. So I mean, no matter where we started at. And we all in the same position, bro.
Right. Yeah, I say the same thing. Like, when you talk about what JJ is really trying to get across to these kids, as far as their work habits, when I speak to a lot of people now, and it can apply not only to sports, Hatch, I've spoken about my 3 Ds. That's desire, dedication, and discipline. And that I think when you think about where we all have gotten, that's sort of like the blueprint for all of our levels of success. We've all had a desire to be the best that we could be, but then in order to get that level to that high level, and when I stepped on the scene, JJ, they were my levels of barometers of success. So in order to get to where they were at that time, I had to dedicate myself, and then there was a level of discipline. And I learned a lot of those things, the other 2 Ds, from JJ and Jerry. When you think about dedication and you think about discipline.
Yeah, I think T.O. also, man, but as a veteran, that clock is ticking, and I knew it was coming to an end for me. And of course, T.O. sent me out the right way.
You mean on Jerry Day?
It was no way my final football game was going to be about Jerry. It was going to be about T.O. I think T.O. had over 20 catches.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Steve Mariucci said something about, I didn't realize he had so many catches. And I looked at Moochie and I said, I did. I knew he had a lot of catches.
Hey, Jerry, how many catches did you have that day?
I think I might have had maybe 1 or 2, and that was it.
No, you had more than that.
No, I don't even remember. All I remember was T.O.
Hey, but what?
Hey, we was watching TV. I was watching TV, Matt. I was watching TV on the field. I didn't catch anything.
Hey,
you were killing. You were killing them that day, man.
What was so funny about that game? Not really funny, but the thing is, everybody knew that this was going to be Jerry's last game. So we made a concerted effort. I think the whole organization, especially the team, we knew that we wanted what Jerry would have wanted. And that was to be sent out on the right way. And trust me, we put everything, in our practice. Hey, everything was catered to Jerry in order for him to really go out and be successful that day. But guess what? We weren't the only ones that were preparing for that game.
I needed my popcorn, T.O. My popcorn that day. I could have been right on there with JJ.
Right.
I had my popcorn. I was watching on the field.
Hey, but the thing is, the defensive secondary of the Chicago Bears, dude, they were double teaming him. They were trying to roughhouse him. We all remember JR. We almost got in a little spat that day because they were trying to give you a little extra here and there. Wow. And then it got to a point, man, just like, man, really we had to give credit to Jeff Garcia because, he could have easily tried to force the ball to you. And then I think he just basically saw, just took what the defense gave him. And like I said, I was either second or third in the progressions, and I just ended up catching a number of balls. But I didn't really know that I had
third.
No, you were second. I was third. I was for sure third.
It just happened like that.
Hey, that was a great day, though, man. And it was an honor for me to give you that game ball, though.
That's awesome.
To see that happen and stuff like that, because it was all about passing that torch on. And I learned from the best with Dwight Clark and watching Montana, Freddie Solomon, and all those guys. So it was a great day for you, T.O. I'm glad I was there to witness that.
How do you feel like nowadays when, again, you hear the Brett Favre story when he was like, when they drafted Aaron Rodgers, Brett was like, it's not my job to get him ready. But you speak so highly of getting somebody ready coming in under you. Like, that's, more respect for you. But how does that make you feel when you hear other players like that speak out nowadays?
Yeah, because I think it's going to make your team better. Absolutely. Because if you work with these guys and you passing that knowledge on, these guys going to go out and they're going to excel on the football field. Football is not an individual sport; it's a team sport. And if we work together, we have a chance. And this reminds me of a movie, The Gladiator, with Russell Crowe and stuff like that. He said something about they were in this arena, and he said, whatever comes through these gates, we have a chance if we stick together. Yeah. So that was important for us to do that, to pass that knowledge on. And those guys, they were able to excel and really play the game at a very high level and have success on the football field.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. JJ, like, what did you learn from watching that, that happen in real time through that process?
It was amazing to me to get out there and watch it. And my first year, you're just absorbing everything. But what you really get a chance to see is when we would go out for walkthrough and when we would go out for practice, Jerry was out there and he was either working on his get-offs because Jerry would, if the ball moves just a smidgen, he was already off and it looked like he would be offsides and we'd be like, Jerry. And he's like, nope, look at the ball. We'd slow it down and the ball moving, he would be off, right? So you look at, I used to look at that all the time. How in the heck does he get off so fast? He have a half a step to a step on us already. And I used to look at that, but he would be out there working and you would see them working on that type of stuff, catching the ball, He would make our trainer, who was a left-handed thrower, be out there throwing to him before practice start while he run his route. So it's not a matter of you better do it. I mean, you had to go out there and work. And so to set that example for the young guys coming in, you could see his work ethic, and then you could see him working on his footwork, how he caught the ball and what positions he caught the ball. I mean, it was a daily thing you got a chance to see. So for me coming in as a first-year guy, it was just like, man, I gotta put in some work. And so that was the example that was set as soon as you get there. And T.O. can attest to that. He saw Jerry too. I mean, it's just something you had to do.
Yeah, I think what JJ is really trying to button down or pin down with Jerry as far as what we all kind of got from him. And I think it was his attention to detail. As JJ was saying, there was something about every part or phase of a game that he worked on daily. It was always something different. And so for me, it was always it was different and it was new. So as JJ said, like it was something that he was working on. If it was just his hand placement on catching an out route, that's what he worked on. I think the most craziest thing and interesting thing is the get off, is when the ball is hyped. Like we would be in amazement. We would be going through our offense and then we'd be running the tape and it looked like Jerry is offside. He's the first one moved. It's like he moves before the ball is moved. And so our coach would literally just rewind the tape. We were like, man, he's offside. Everybody would kind of bet, dog, he's offside. He would never be offside. As soon as that ball moved a half a millimeter, he's already gone. And that was one of the things too that I wanted to work on. That's one of the things that I tried to work on too. I could never get it in sync and on time like Jerry could. And that was like one of the edges to his game that nobody could really catch on to. And I think even today that there is so much about his game that people marvel at. They haven't, until this show right here, until they hear it from us, they've never even thought about the fact that he got off the ball so quickly and got into his routes.
Hey guys, I really had to alert the officials before the game. I told them, I said, look, I come off the ball faster than any of the guys. Mm-hmm. The second the ball moves, I'm gone. And I'm going to try to one-up you guys right now. All right? Of course. I got to get something out of this. Okay?
Right. I'll wait for this.
Right. Okay. Have you guys, I think I might be the only receiver to have thrown a touchdown on a reverse play.
You got me.
I caught that.
JJ Stokes, baby.
Okay.
Hey, Jason, you remember that one?
Yes, I sure do.
Oh, my God.
I sure do.
Hey, check this out. I was supposed to throw out. I had the reverse pass in. It was the Washington Redskins game. I was supposed to throw a route to JJ, and for whatever reason, they doubled him or whatever. He got covered, and I ended up having a reverse field, and I ended up scoring.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember that.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
but T.O., I said throw.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to one up you. I was trying to take a little bit of shine. I was trying to take a little bit of shine.
You improvised.
Exactly.
Oh man.
So here's one for you. So, out of, I'd say 99.9% of everyone in the world thinks you're the greatest receiver ever to play the game, JR, right? Give us, what do you think your weakness was, though, that people don't know, right? You worked on all your weaknesses, but if there was one thing that you was like, I want to get better at that, what was that one thing when you left your career?
Man, I think I worked on everything every day.
Yep.
I can't just really just point out one thing in particular because, I don't think I was the biggest, I was the fastest, but I was going to make up for that, coming off the line of scrimmage, making the defensive back turn his hips. That was the most important thing for me. If I made him turn his hips, I felt like I had it. So bringing that cushion as quickly as possible. So those were some of the things that I always worked on.
Right.
And, bump and run, learning how to defeat bump and run, and just working on that route tree. So I wouldn't say I was the best, but I think I worked so hard that no one could look at on film and say, hey, look, he has a weakness, in this route or whatever. I think I just outworked everybody. And that was it.
I remember working out in my off seasons. I was like, when I would run like on digs and slants, when I would run from my right to my left, for some reason, it was, I had to catch the ball past my eyes. Like, I had to let it pass my eyes and then catch it with my pinkies. It was just so hard for me to do this going from my right to my left. And I worked on that throughout my whole career. And I never got to the point where I felt comfortable running from my right to my left and putting my hands in front of my eyes.
Well, you know that's the wrong technique of catching the football, right?
First of all, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, JR.
Wait. What's the wrong technique?
Habits, man.
What's the wrong technique?
Now, come on now. Are you serious? You used to catch a ball like that?
You mean like with your like this?
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah,
if the ball is coming to your right, you're supposed to extend your arms, right? This is what people do. They extend their arms out. And then some people say catching it past your eyes is the wrong way. And I get it. I've seen you catch it past your eyes. I've seen thousands of receivers catch it past their eyes. Yeah. But again, you're supposed to catch it before it gets to you. Supposedly, if you're
okay, all right.
Well, I think To
you know what? Can I chime in here real quick, because this is what I got from you guys. When you catch the ball like we are, me, T.O., JR, catch the ball. You can have your eyes and your hands and the ball all in the same picture frame, so you're going to catch the ball. That's the way it was taught to me through you guys, and so that's the way I learned. And I'm like, it makes so much sense, because what happens is when your eyes and your hands are not in the same frame, you have that drop, and it's an occasional drop, but it may be a crucial drop. So when your hands, eyes, and the ball's all in the same frame, it's a grab.
But and JJ, you hit it right on the nose. Hey, JJ hit it right on the nose, because the thing too, if you bobble the ball, you have a second chance of catching the ball.
Chance to get
right. Versus
your way, you don't have a second chance, okay?
But if you watch any receiver right now, if you watch them on a slant or a dig, their arms are in front of their eyes, right? It's the pitcher, it's the diamond, whatever they've been taught, the thumbs together, whatever they've been taught. Yep. That's how they've been taught, and they tell those kids and these NFL players now that if it goes past your eyes, then that's a bad habit. As you know, over time, you work on every single hand positioning for every single ball.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of what you're talking about too is ball placement too. It all boils down to ball placement. And then it's so funny that JR mentioned that and JJ mentioned that about the ball and your eyes and your hand being in the same frame. When I got to Dallas, dude, I almost had to curse Bill Parcells out, because he tried to change my catching techniques, in which you're trying to describe. He was like, "Yo, you need to catch the ball." I'm like, "Dude, at this point, this is my 10th year in the league. I said, I've learned from the best in the game, and this is how I was taught to catch the ball." And I was like, now all of a sudden, you trying to change my catch techniques?
It's because he was dropping the ball. That's why.
Right. And then he goes, "Oh, well, we taught Keyshawn them like that." First of all, Keyshawn, at this point, I'm feeling myself. Keyshawn ain't even on my level. At this point in time in my career, I'm like, yo, you can't tell me nothing about Keyshawn, because Keyshawn ain't even on my level at this point. So I got upset. And immediately I got upset because he tried to change my catch techniques. And I'm like, yo, this is like, it frustrated me too, man, because at that point in time, I tried to appease him. And then I'm like, okay, and I tried to make a couple catches, and I just was uncomfortable. Yeah. So I just went back to what I knew. And at this point, however many catches that I had, I went with what was comfortable with me. For me, I went with how I was taught from day one, stepping in, like JR said, stepping through those gates of trying to win a championship. And I learned from Jerry Rice. I was learning from JJ Stokes. And these are, again, this is how I was taught. Well, this was how I was being taught to be a receiver. And then all of a sudden, I think he was trying to play some mind trick, some mind Jedi game with me or whatever, trying to change some stuff. But dude, he had me so hot, dude. The fact that he was like, "Oh, well, Keyshawn does it." What? Man, get out of here with all that.
Hey, but T.O., you were the man, man. Hey, when you went to Dallas, you became the man. Well, when you went to Philly, you became the man. You know what I'm saying?
But again,
he was a rock star in Philly. He became a rock star when he went.
Right, but part of the reason why we're all on here today is because JR, you paved the way. And I'm saying that's for everybody on here, even Hatch. I mean, he ain't on our level, but you paved the way for him. You paved the way for him too. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you, when we get off this, he's gonna be on cloud 9, because he's gonna say, "Man, look, I was on this thing with greatness. Like I was on the screen with 3 great receivers,
baby.
And again, that's why I think you guys are the number 2.
That's okay, man.
Which is fine. But again, learning and going through my career, again, coming out of college, Jerry was it. Because again, small black college, I'm like, I can do what Jerry do. And then in 2001, when I went to the Raiders and Jerry and Tim Brown were there. And that's when I got to see Jerry up close and see the everyday grind that Jerry was doing. I think in 2001, that was probably your 14th or 15th year by that time.
Yeah, I was still going strong.
Still going right.
Jerry, what are you doing?
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, he going up.
I'm like a thief in the night, baby. You know what I'm saying?
JR, what are you doing?
Hey, that's that goat fuel.
Hey, don't make me go get my rings now, okay? If I had my rings, I would throw them right in front of you right now.
You talking to Hatch right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, yeah, I can't. I ain't got no rings.
Hey, Sissy, he's throwing that out there that we're number 2 instead of number 1.
No, I don't. Honestly, JR, I don't know what happened. I mean, honestly, we would have to just tip it off to it being some CTE or something, dog. That's what it has to be.
Hey, Teal, let's forget him. The only reason why I'm on this show is because of you and JJ Stokes. You know what I'm saying? I don't even see this other person, on this
Right.
I ain't going to be able to live that one down.
All right, man.
Hey, Jared. So I know we started out, the show, and we were trying to get familiarized with one another. But I had a question too. Obviously, like Jerry, you kind of alluded to it when you talked about Solomon and all these other guys that pushed you, and they kind of knew that when you came in that you were sort of like you were going to be the guy. What was for me and JJ? What was sort of like the first impressions that you got from both of us, and from your experience and time with us? Is there one play or one thing that you saw in us? You're like, okay, it's sort of like that aha moment. Like, okay, this guy got it. He's going to be this. He's going to be that.
I think the thing is, it's like when you guys came in, and I could tell you wanted to learn. You were quiet. Both you guys were really paying attention to detail, the little things, and it was gonna, make you guys so much better. So I noticed that first, but then the size of you guys, how you able to, defeat bump and run, get out of your routes, catch the football, attack the football at its highest point. I would say, for you, Terrell, man, I had never seen a guy your size so fast. The physicality off the line. You could be physical off the line, but then you could be very elusive too, and not let the defensive back get his hands on you and stuff like that. JJ the same way. His technique, lowering his body, coming out of his routes, running that comeback, and dropping his hips and then just making the catch. So I knew that you guys were hungry. And I knew that you guys wanted to really become starters. So I knew this clock was ticking for me, but I knew it was going to make football better for the San Francisco 49ers. And it's a tradition thing, passing that knowledge on. And I knew that you guys, after I walked away from the game, or if I went somewhere else, that you were going to be able to represent the 49ers the right way. Bottom line.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of the 49ers, are you, like I said, do you watch them now? Are you playing, like, so you know the whole roster, and, like, where do you think they're headed for, like, next year, the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think T.O., JJ, I think we should come out of retirement.
You saying they need receiver help?
Guys, I'm going to tell you, with today's football, I mean, the ball being in the air the majority of the time,
every play,
how players are protected now and all that stuff is crazy. It's crazy. But, watching Deebo Samuel, Kittle, all of that, then I think we just got Brandon Ayuk. I think I hope I pronounced his name the right way. But, I think, the young rookie is going to come in. He's going to play well, very physical off the line of scrimmage, can make any catch, can stretch the field. The only thing that I want to see more of him is for him to use his hands more. He has the tendency to let the ball get into his body, and also he has problems with a little bit of bump and run. But, I think I still watch it. I still support it, but it's a whole different ball game now.
Yeah.
You go to the games, JJ?
I made a couple this year. I always make a one or two during the course of a season. I like to sit on my couch and watch the game, and I record every game. So I kind of watch back just to look at the things that the receivers do and the schemes defenses run. I like to look at that stuff. So for me, I do watch, and I look at the receivers, and there's certain things that I notice. And same thing as JR just mentioned, like when I see them running routes, there are a few guys that are like technicians when they run the routes, but a lot of guys, they speed cut everything. They're just trying to get out of it. And so I like to look at it just to see the differences. And I understand the game has changed with the physicality and not be defenseless receiver and all that terminology. But yeah, I watch the game. I watch it usually from the house watching it.
Right.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about a number of the receivers that are playing today, I mean, obviously, like I said, the difference in the game versus now versus when we played is obviously, like I said, just they've taken a lot of hits out of the game, a lot of the physical parts, especially as it relates to receivers. And when you think about the receivers today, who are you guys? It's probably like top 2 or 3 receivers that you feel like that I guess eerily kind of are similar to our style of play. And how do you feel that the guys that are coming into the league now, how they will fare out in the league, coming obviously from college and then, getting themselves ready for the pro level?
Yeah, my guy would be, just like you guys, you and JJ, probably be Julio Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, Julio Jones got it all, man. I know he's fast, he's physical, he can run every route. He's explosive. After catching the ball, he can, go 75 yards, 80 yards, or something like that after the catch.
And that's what, to be honest, you don't really see a lot of guys doing that now. You don't see a lot of guys taking anywhere from the line of scrimmage to 5 yards, taking those routes and taking it to the house. Like you said, 60, 70, 85 yards down the field. You don't really see that nowadays. And I think when you talk about the West Coast offense, which is where I was brought up, that was one of the staple things that they talked about, is taking the short pass, taking it the long distance. Yeah, of course, everybody can run the deep routes, the go routes. You can run the over routes and things of that nature. But that's what I think is missing and what separates our era of the game versus this era. And I'm sure, like JR said, there's some truth to what he's saying. I'm pretty sure if we were given an opportunity to play, we could play at this level. Could we play 60, 75, 80 snaps? Probably not. But we could be productive in this era of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys watch the draft at all for like this, the rookies coming out?
I paid attention to it a little bit. More so the fact that they said there were so many receivers. I wanted to see how that played out. I was interested in that, and also the quarterbacks, because everybody has their opinion on which quarterback was the best and who should do what. But I always look at the quarterbacks and the receivers and other positions that have somebody that stands out that I'm like, man, I want to see what he's going to turn out to. But most of the time, I'm looking at the quarterbacks and receivers.
Yeah, for me, receivers, Jerry Jeudy, also CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk. I think the Niners traded down to the 25th spot to pick him. But it was so many receivers. But I was pretty much impressed too with the NFL, the draft not having any problems and stuff like that, and it being on Zoom and everything went just it was perfect.
Well, you guys played with Steve Young, so all three. Is Tua the next Steve Young in you guys' opinion?
Well, let me chime in because I worked out with Tua his freshman year, like he was a true freshman. So Alabama has this camp that they do in college every summer. So my son and my two nephews were at that camp, and so I just went to the camp just to kind of just check in on them. And so after the camp, I think it was the last day. So after the camp, Calvin Ridley was out there, dude. Sims. Jerry Jeudy, I think he might have been like a sophomore or whatever at that time. These guys, they were like, man, it's like, T.O., it's like, run some routes with us. And I'm like, I have no gear, I have no nothing. They're like, oh, we'll get you some shoes, we'll get you. So they literally got me all that I needed to go outside and run routes. And so before Tua was even available, they wanted to throw with Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts was the quarterback the starting quarterback at the time. So they couldn't find Jalen. So they was like, we got Tua coming. And then I'm like, all right, cool. And then they's like, he's like, dog, he's the real deal. They's like, he can probably start right now, but they got, Jalen's our starter. And I'm like, really? So they're like, all right, just wait till you see him. So I'm like, all right. So he comes out. He wasn't as tall as I thought he was going to be. Hawaiian kid, left-handed or whatever. So we were out there running routes. We was out there for like an hour and a half. Guys, this is no lie. This dude was so impressive, dude. When I left there, I was like, oh, my gosh. This was him as a freshman. This was like 3 years ago. I was like, this dude honestly, I told one of their guys, I said, dude, this is crazy to me. I said, dude, this dude could probably play in the league right now with what I saw. This is no lie. JR, he hit every route. I'm talking about when you're talking about I literally, when I was running my routes, I was envisioning and I saw Steve Young throwing the ball to me. The only pass that I corrected him on, and it wasn't an incompletion, it was the bang 8. When I came out of my bang 8, I saw him throw the ball, everything, and I ended up catching it on my hips. So when I came back to him, I said, Tua, I said, dude, on this bang 8, I said, I don't know what your steps are, whatever the case may be. I said, but I know we're running routes on air. I said, but I want you to get in the habit of when we're running these routes, I want you to take like game drops, game steps. I want you to visualize the defense. I said, because when I'm running this bang 8, I said, it's 8 steps to it. I said, but on my 4th outside step, that ball should be out of your hand at least halfway to me. I shouldn't see the ball thrown. That was the only correction that I made with this young kid at that time. And when after that game, and obviously if you fast forward, he ended up coming in at halftime and winning the game when Jalen went out. I'm on the sideline. I'm on the sideline of this championship game. I'm on the sideline talking to a guy. Jalen struggled. Everybody knows that. They were down 13-0. They go in at halftime. I had my boy call me on the sideline. I had a little friendly $200 bet with him. He said, yo. He said, so he calls me. Everybody sees when Alabama gets the ball, Tua goes into the game. The crowd starts like erupting. My phone rings. My boy said, oh, y'all definitely going to lose now. I'm like, why do you say that? I said, dude, trust me. This game is about to change. He said, what? He said, bet another 100. I said, okay, cool. Might I remind you now? Might I remind you? They're down 13-0 at halftime, and I make this bet because I had seen him do what he did that summer. So I already knew what was about to happen and what the world is about to see once these Miami Dolphins unveil and Tua gets fully healthy. They're going to see exactly what I'm talking about and what they saw that night on championship night when he came in 13-0 down and he ended up bringing them back to win the championship.
Yeah. We get so Jerry's been a lot of our Nike opening camps and stuff like that. So like I said, we get to see a lot of these kids in high school, and there's a couple kids you see in high school that you're like, you know what? He's on his way. And Tua was one of those kids. Tua was one, when I saw him in high school, I'm like, this dude's going to be something special.
And also I had the opportunity, the guy from Clemson, the quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence.
He was at a Nike camp, and I went into that camp, and I just went in to really just meet the players and just talk to them. And I ended up running routes on the football field. And man, this guy, what he's doing at Clemson is really amazing. And but I think these guys are getting coached a certain way now. You know, before they get to collegiate football, before they get to the NFL, and that way, once they come into the NFL, they can transition really fast. And I think Tui, I think him and the Miami Dolphins, I think he's going to be exceptional, because to watch him throw that winning touchdown during that championship game, that was just unreal. Yeah. That just showed composure. That showed everything. And it showed the confidence in himself. But, I think these guys are, they have the opportunity now to really, really, take the game to a whole different level. They're prepared the right way. They're looking for the opportunity. And once they get it, they just take advantage of it.
And you think about the decision to bring Tua in at halftime, that says a lot about really what the world didn't know, but it says a lot about Nick Saban as a head coach to have the balls at that point in time in the game to make that move. When he's been riding Jalen Hurts for 2 years and he's been his starting quarterback, but he saw that Jalen was struggling. He knew at that time, if they had any chance to win that game, being down 13 points, he had to make a decision to kind of put Tua in order them to win the game. So that's, again, when you think out the whole outcome, that's what really sticks out most to me, is that Nick Saban was able to make that decision at that given time.
And Terrell, we know once you make that decision, you can't go back.
It's just like a route. Once you commit yourself, you
better make it work.
No going back. JR, I have a question for you, and I know we mentioned Steve Young speaking on Tua. What was the difference like? Because I never had the opportunity to play with Joe Montana. I only got a short stint with Steve Young. What was the difference in those two Hall of Fame caliber players that you end up playing with? Because like I said, I wish I could have had the chance to catch a ball from Joe Montana, just to play with a Hall of Famer and Steve Young, but that was like in the infancy stage of my career. So I didn't really I wasn't able to really become who I became, like you had those two of those guys.
Well, I think with Steve Young, he pretty much hurt my stats, man. I had 22,895 yards. I probably could have had around about 30,000. I probably could have had about, 2,000 catches. Touchdowns. Maybe about 300 or 400 touchdowns. Because Steve was more of a running quarterback. He was hurting me big time. Man. I'm like, okay. I hear the crowd start cheering. I'm thinking Steve get ready to throw me the ball. Steve was running up my back. I'm like, Steve is killing me right now.
What are you doing, Steve?
What are you doing to me? To have Montana, and I think, Joe is like God, man. I mean, the chemistry that we had, what he brought to the game. If we had time on the clock, we knew that he could move the ball downfield and win that football game. Now, Joe is gone. I have to adapt to Steve. So now it's just getting out there, working after practice, getting used to that different spin on the ball because he's a lefty and stuff. So it took me a while to adjust. But then Steve, he became a great pocket passer. He had the highest passer rating of a quarterback and stuff like that. We scored the most touchdowns together. So I was able to adapt to him. And we became a pretty good,
dynamic duo.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but he was hurting me. He was hurting me bad. Man.
Yeah, me and JJ were at the Jacksonville Jaguars together. We had Mark Brunell. Remember?
Yeah,
left-handed.
I do.
Did you have to get used to the way his ball spent different?
You know what? It's funny because the fact that I had came from Steve, I was kind of used to Brunell's tossing the rock, but the unfortunate thing, as you remember, is he got hurt. Was the second or third game, and they put Byron Leftwich in, man.
He Leftwich.
So we only got a short stint with him.
Yeah. Brunell was nice, man. Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys coming on and get your podcast, man. Hey,
I got my popcorn, baby. Let's go.
Popcorn ready. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Rice, JJ Stokes in the building, man. Hey, tell us about your goat fuel, JR, before we go, man. What's up with this goat fuel?
We still the best tandem, the receiving core.
Yeah, okay? Again, we were the big three. First of all, Hatch, you have to be honest with yourself. When they talk about the Vikings, if they said big three, your name is not even coming up.
I'm part of the big four. Your name is
not coming up.
I'm part of the big four.
All right,
there is no such thing. There is no such thing. There is no such thing.
Look, you guys are all goats, man. And, with this pandemic going on, COVID-19, coronavirus, all of that, the frontline people and stuff like that, the doctors, the nurses, all of that, they're goats. And that's really what I wanted this drink to be all about. And the thing is a healthier drink is 15 calories, 0 sugar, 200 milligrams of caffeine. Mm-hmm. And what I did, we noticed that these goats in the Himalayas, man, they had all of this energy jumping around in that altitude and stuff like that. And they were eating these little things coming out of the ground. It was cordyceps mushrooms. So that is the thing that's going to separate us from the other drink. It's the cordyceps mushrooms. And hey, it's all about goats, man.
Goats. Where can we find it, JR? Where can we find it?
You can go to goatfuel.com. www.goatfuel.com. Check it out.
All right, there it is.
I appreciate you guys. Much love, man. Good to see you guys again. Okay.
Thanks, you too,
man. And we're gonna forget this other guy. We're gonna forget this guy over here. Okay, we're gonna forget him.
I
98 Vikings, baby.
I appreciate the plug with Goat Fuel. I'm gonna get me some, but you can drink all the Goat Fuel you want, Hatch, and it's not gonna help you at all. I'm just letting you know.
I tell you what, I'm gonna get some Goat Fuel mouthwash for you, T. How about
that? Hey, much love, guys.
All right, appreciate you. Appreciate you. After all of that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Now, do you agree with me that we were the number one wide receiver core of all time?
No, it only just verifies and clarifies what I've said all the time, that there's no way that you guys were even considered a big three because you're not even in the equation. And as we introduced this thing, it was T.O., Jerry, and J.J. When you talk about the Vikings, there's no Hatch? There's no Hatch in the equation.
Up in that piece.
No. I mean, if you want, like I said, if you want to create a new topic of the big four, then by all means, you're part of the big four.
We can be number one, the big four? We number one?
If that's what you want. But there's no such thing. So like I said, when you talk about basketball and that now they have this thing of the big three, that's why we're having this discussion. So yeah, we were the big three before there was ever big three. That's Jerry, JJ, and T.O. And and like Jerry said, the numbers don't lie.
Well, speaking of three, then okay, let's go to our 3 and out segment since we're thinking about three. And I'll let you go ahead and start it out then, man.
Okay, yeah. So for everybody that's watching, the 3 and out is kind of like after the show, we both kind of just gather information and sort of like a summation of 3 things that stood out in the interview of what we want to kind of like get across to each other, like what stood out in our mind in the interview. And I think for me, number one, there's 3 of those things. So the first one would be, out of all of us on the screen, you, myself, Jerry, and JJ, 3 of the 4, we came from small schools.
Yeah.
And so again, for a lot of parents and uncles and granddads and everybody that's watching, even kids that are watching, this is a sign, and it started way back then, is that you don't necessarily have to go to a Division I school to make it to the professional ranks, professional level of sports. You know, ideally, if you have the skill set to play at a Division I, if you're fortunate enough to play at one of those powerhouse Pac-10 teams, SEC, whatever the case may be, Big 10, Big 12, then that's good. But a lot of you kids out there, you're not going to be fortunate enough to go to one of those Division I schools. As you see and have seen and heard here today is that, JJ he's out of all 4 of us, he's the only one that went to a Division I school. He went to UCLA. Myself, I went to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. Jerry went to Mississippi Valley State, and you have Hatch here who went to Langston University. So it shows you that you don't necessarily have to play at a top-notch school if you don't have the credentials to make it or potential to be there. You can always make it. My other thing is what I just mentioned is that we are officially, after this interview, we are officially the Big Three. Whether you want to admit it or not, like I said, and Jerry said it, I think that he said a mouthful when he said numbers don't lie. When you tally up those numbers and you talk about, and Jerry, he wanted to stretch it a little further.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want him to go there. He said, do I gotta go get those rings? Rings? So if he has to go get those rings, that's gonna tip the scale. So those are mine too. We're officially, it's on it right here today. We're the Big Three before there was ever a Big Three.
No, it's all good, but the third thing I took out of the conversation that we just had is how these kids are prepared when they're getting to the NFL. Because, like you say, even Jerry does our Nike stuff and Nike opening. You've come and worked with our kids at Loyola High School, and JJ Stokes, of course, works with their kids at Bishop O'Dowd. And again, when you're getting this coaching at 15, 16, 17 from NFL caliber players, and all of a sudden you take that throughout your college career and you're going into your rookie and your second, third year, you're right. You're prepared because everything you've been being taught from your Tuas of the world and your Trevor Lawrences of the world, like Jerry said, they've been getting NFL training, and NFL conversations and NFL offenses since they're 15, 16 years old. So now that they get to the league, they're not like, oh, I have to learn, what it is to read like an NFL quarterback or how to read safeties in the NFL. We've been teaching them this stuff, because again, we're so, far into depth of what football is at an early age now. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot more younger kids become successful early in their careers. Because you know how it was back in the day. Like, I'm going to not be a starter till my third, fourth, fifth year sometimes. And those are first-round picks. And now your first-round pick, second, third-round picks, you could be on the field week one, and it's not going to be a shocker from that fan base to see some of those players play early.
Yeah. You said it. You hit the nail on the head. And I think ideally, if you want to, I guess, put a title on these kids, it's having these kids go into coming out of college being pro ready, if you will. They're not all the way pro ready, but they have the basis and the information and the direction in which they're to be, if they're going to be professionals and if they're going to be on that level or perform at the level of pros already, then we've already kind of set that foundation for them to do that.
Absolutely. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The reunion. We had the 49ers wide receiver core with T.O., J.J. Stokes, and the legend, Jerry Rice. Bless the Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man.